way away and roll up to like a mall or something because there was no handicap parking.
I think that too many times people who haven't really looked into what size wheelchairs are will adapt bathrooms, and you pull into a stall and the wheels will be sticking out, or it's not even close to being accessible, but they'll say they have an accessible bathroom.
Yeah, my chair doesn't have brakes. That's a pet peeve of mine. It's real flat in Mississippi, so that's never been a concern for me, but I found myself running into walls and falling down ramps and going back up ramps since I've been here, so I'm probably going to get brakes put on my chair before I come back to Colorado.
Well, if I were dictator, I'd probably just get rid of stairs altogether, you know, because I really wouldn't be disabled if it weren't for stairs.
That the restaurant may not specifically have a good setup for wheelchair users, and they will try to put you at a booth or put you at a table. Again, it's not specified for that, to where you're too much in traffic and you feel in the way.
I have the usual one that most everybody in a chair has, and that's people who abuse handicap parking permits. That drives me absolutely insane.
Having people come up that need to ask me questions, that choose to ask the people that I'm with the question they should be asking me instead of asking me the question, as if I'm not capable of answering my own answers, you know, that kind of thing. So.
One of the pet peeves I have is like when I go to a mall and I'm going to go to the food court and order food at one of the stands, and the stands are so high, and I can never hear what anybody else orders, but since the counters are so high, I always have to scream my order up. And it's not that I mind that everyone knows what I'm eating, it's just that I feel that I should have the same rights to privacy as everyone else.
My biggest pet peeve is when people call the disabled handicapped. We are not handicapped, we are very capable and don't appreciate being stereotyped.
My pet peeve is when it rains and the worms come out and you have to roll through them, and then you get the worms on your hands and the worm guts are everywhere. That is my biggest pet peeve.
While waiting for your dinner. Now, if you're thinking these ladies have a hard time sitting down to dine without turning it into a production, you're probably right. Lest we forget, we are building up to Saturday night. and the crowning of Miss Wheelchair America. Those given the task of picking Miss Wheelchair America are head judge Jerry Mazurkowitz, a Holiday Inn manager in Columbus, Georgia, which is considered to be one of the most wheelchair-friendly in the country. Other judges are Debbie David, a senior analyst for American Airlines. She oversees operations for customers with disabilities. Trish Farmer is executive director of the Tennessee Governor's Committee for Employment of People with Disabilities. Armando Rodriguez is director of the Office of Diversity Employment Service for the U.S. Post Office. Dr. Sylvia Walker of Howard University serves on the President's Committee on Employment of People with Disabilities. And the judge coordinator, Don Blodgett. She was Miss Wheelchair America of 1994. Today, she's a full-time student.
The first highlight that comes to mind is my trip to Anchorage, Alaska. I was born there as a baby and adopted, and had never had any real access to my culture and my heritage. I won the women's downhill skiing event in the annual Ski for Light that's held in South Dakota, and I'd never skied before in my life. One of the last things I was able to do was throw the first pitch at a Seattle Mariners baseball game, and I was the first person in a wheelchair to ever throw the first pitch, and so that was a real honor. I just, it's something I truly believe in and want to pass it on to other women, because it's definitely was one of the best experiences of my life. The fun and the camaraderie and making new friends, I think that's the most important part of the pageant. People can't focus on winning or losing.
If you're waiting for the swimsuit competition, sorry. But if you're wondering how these ladies were selected to represent their states, the speech competition should give you a pretty good idea.
See, I was diagnosed with MD at 16 months, and I have always known the wheelchair. I have no frame of reference as to a difference that my disability has made, because my disability is all I have ever known. See, a little bit more every day for 28 years, my disability has touched different aspects of my life, and it has molded me into everything I am today.
There isn't a day that goes by that I don't miss my legs or my fingers, and yet at the same time I am thankful each and every day for a second chance to live. If I had died that night in the emergency room, I would have died a very unhappy woman. True, I had a successful business, and I had a house with a white picket fence lifestyle. But I had put on hold the truly important things in life.
And what I can now see when I look around here at this crowd, that I know that whatever it is that makes you different, that makes you unique, is the exact thing that makes you all so beautiful. And I am thankful for my disability, for teaching me this and 1,000 other very important lessons.
I learned that life is a journey through time filled with many choices, but it is only I who determine my tomorrow by the choices that I make today. Most importantly, my disability has taught me that the darker the night, the brighter the star, and that is not the blank canvas that is handed to each of us at birth, but rather it is the picture that we choose to paint on it. Ladies and gentlemen, I, Miss Wheelchair Florida, have chosen to paint a rainbow.
But after the injury, I realized I didn't want to be looked at because I'm in a wheelchair and judged by my physical appearance. So when I went back to school, I made it a point to be friends with everyone and anyone in that school who would give me the time of day. And when I graduated, I knew everyone, and I had a wonderful 4 years of high school because of that. The one thing I think we should all realize is that accidents happen. That can happen to any of us at any moment and any time.
If I feel good about myself, if I can look at myself in the mirror, then that's really what counts. I think that being disabled has helped me be a better teacher, in the sense that Number one, I had a lot of difficulty getting through high school myself. Not necessarily because my grades were bad, just that I couldn't get to the classrooms in the first place.
My favorite song is The Dance by Garth Brooks. I don't know how many of you know it, but it's a song that talks about how if we could see the future, we might choose to change it, to avoid the pain, but that actually our lives are better left to chance, because sometimes the greatest blessings come through pain. And I wonder sometimes, if I could have known the future, would I have changed it? How would I have handled things? And I know this, maybe I could have missed the pain, but I would have had to miss the dance. And I wouldn't miss this for the world.
Having a disability hasn't made me any different, although it has made me look at the world from a new perspective. How has my disability made me who I am? It has been through relearning the basics of everyday life, by teaching me that life isn't always fair, also that nothing in life is free or easy. Some in life you are dealt a difficult task, and it is up to you to make the most of it. I realize that being disabled doesn't mean you're unable.
My message to you and to everyone is to choose opportunity/obstacles for personal empowerment. That is what my disability has done for me and made me the person that I am today.
I believe that having a disability has given me an opportunity to meet, teach, and learn from some wonderful people who have firsthand experience of how to overcome diversity, overcome adversity, how to roll with the punches, and how to succeed in life and become a survivor. And if I had to name the one thing that I think having a disability has taught me, it's taught me to be a survivor.
I've lived and grown up in a home with lots of love and lots of faith. That love and faith has carried me where I am today. And in my hopes and dreams, I will continue to hope that as I travel throughout North Carolina to be an ambassador for people with disabilities, that my hopes and dreams will carry on, and I will continue to see people's abilities and not their disabilities.
I feel my disability has provided me with the tools to be an outstanding teacher, one who is sensitive to the individual needs of each child. I feel my ability to be so perceptive is because of my awareness of my personal needs. So how does this teacher, this woman in a wheelchair, want to be treated? I want to be treated as someone who just happens to use wheels to get through life. And let me close with this. Life is a song, sing it. Life is a game, play it. Life is a challenge, meet it.
Earlier this year, I was preparing to visit my parents in Nebraska. My suitcase, however, was on the top shelf of the closet, and obviously I'm not tall enough to reach it. My parents told me, go ask a neighbor to do it. Well, as any good child, I ignored my parents and decided to try and get it down myself. Well, I can tell you that while getting a suitcase isn't a wonderful experience, it was. I was very happy when I was able to get it down on my own.
I must admit I was angry for the first 3 years, and it wasn't until 1993 when I began to put the pieces of my life back together and going back to school that I met a wonderful gentleman who his daughter is here with me tonight, Iman Akbar. I'm due to marry her wonderful father in March of next year. I must say that I'm very proud that that is happening in my life, and it could not have happened if I had not learned to be persistent.
You know, children stare, people stare. Stop staring, I'd be thinking to myself. But should I? Maybe that is what we need. More of us out there, getting involved, making the best of it. You know, life is about not knowing, having to change. And I have gone through many changes. And I do believe it's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it.
Everybody has something that they